Konnichiwa, welcome to the Uzumaki Garage. Today I'm tackling another job on this Evo which is often overlooked. It's meant to be done every 60,000 kilometers, but I don't know whether it's actually ever been done before. Let's have a look. Replacing the fuel filter is something that's often overlooked on the Evo VI. It sits in the engine bay between the airbox and the firewall. There's not much space around it, so it's got the reputation for being hard to get at and also hard to undo. Well, I'm up for the challenge. Let's see how we go. First, I'm disconnecting the negative side of the battery terminal. Releasing the cable from the MAF sensor. And I open up the clip to release the MAF sensor cable from the airbox. Open the clips on the air filter box and loosen the hose clamp. Removing the air filter element and the MAF sensor side of the airbox. Lifting out the carbon canister, but leave the hoses attached. Release the fuel hoses from the fuel filter bracket using a 10mm socket. Next, I'm disconnecting the lower pipe from the fuel filter, which will be hard to see on the car, so here's an on-bench demo. Holding the fuel filter with a thin 19mm open ender, then loosen the pipe fitting with a 14mm flare nut wrench. So on the car, I first put the flare nut wrench under the filter and onto the fuel pipe fitting. Then I'm using a 19mm open ender on the filter housing to stop it from turning. Holding the 19mm spanner firmly and turning the flare nut wrench. Once the fitting is cracked loose, I'm using a 14mm short spanner to fully undo the pipe and pull it down gently out of the filter. The top fitting was tight, so to get better leverage I used a breaker bar, which also got me out of that restricted space. I had to use an extra thin 19mm spanner on the filter housing. I didn't have one, so I used an old Sidchrome 3/4 inch spanner that fitted perfectly, removing the banjo bolt and 2 copper gaskets. And here I'm using a 12mm socket to release the filter bracket from the chassis rail, and lifting the filter out. Lowering the new filter into position, installing the fuel feed pipe into the base of the filter, making sure the mounting bracket is parallel to the chassis rail, and tighten the pipe fitting. I set the filter mounting brackets in place very loosely, just to line up the bracket, but if you do them up tight, the fitting may not seat properly on the filter and then you can get a fuel leak, as the flare on the pipe may not sit squarely on the filter port. I tighten the pipe fitting with a 14mm flare nut wrench while holding the filter with a 19mm open ender. Once the pipe fitting is fully tight, I'll tighten the brackets onto the chassis rail. Added new copper gaskets to the banjo bolt. I'm using a 10mm socket to attach the fuel pipes to the fuel filter bracket. Using the 3/4 inch open ender spanner again. and tightening the banjo bolt with a 19mm socket. And replacing the carbon canister. And reinstalling the MAF sensor side of the airbox and the air filter. Reattach the MAF sensor connector and wrap the clip around the cable to secure it to the airbox. And tighten the clamp. And reconnect the negative side of the battery cable. And reconnect the trickle charger harness. And now I'll start the car and check for leaks. Check for fuel leaks, and if you've got one, disconnect the battery, find out where it's coming from, and try again. Well, that turned out really well. It's quite satisfying getting another job done that nobody has ever bothered to do before on this car. If you've made it to the end, make me happy and hit that like button. If you want to see more of my JDM cars, click subscribe and notify. And if you want to, you can help out the channel by donating something to my Patreon. Follow the link in the video description below. Thanks for watching. Take 307.